Good afternoon, YouTube family. How are we today? My name is Anthony. This is Palmetto Prepared, and today I wanted to kind of throw a little bit of a change up, but not too bad. And we're going to talk about cash, having actual physical cash instead of using a card or a credit card or debit card. Now, this isn't going to be a cash versus card, pros and cons kind of thing, because I think it's more of a generational thing. Depending on where you grew up and how old you are is going to determine your preference to the other. I'm strictly talking to the millennial, my generation, and the younger generations about the positives of carrying cash now, because you're so programmed with life experience and everything else to use a card that you forget the benefits of using cash, and I'm going to explain that one throughout this video. So cash, especially having a like a background, or I'm saying background, but like a emergency fund, I guess you could say, at your house can pay dividends in several different ways. But let's just face it, if there's a storm, because I say storm because that's most likely what's going to happen. But you have a storm and the power goes out. Yet you have to go, you have an emergency. And you got to go get, say, medicine, water, something. And all you do is use your card and the power's out. How are you going to get your money? So that's the most basic of questions I'd like to ask people that are constantly using cards all the time. I remember, let's say last year, last year or the year before, my small town that I live in, they were working on their, I say they, I mean like the cable companies and internet companies, they were replacing the fiber optic cables and whatnot. So a lot of businesses in my area couldn't accept card. They couldn't do debit or credit card payments because their internet service was completely out. Now, there were still some businesses that use satellite, so they were able to take your stuff, like some gas stations had the satellite, but like the bigger stores, they couldn't accept card payments because the landline that they were connected to was temporarily cut off. I mean, it was only for a day, but like, what if it's not just a day? Like, all the ATMs were down because they were all run through the banks through the landline. But so I couldn't get cash through that, and it's just kind of one of those things where, sure, they're updating the wire, but what if those wires were intentionally cut? Now I can't purchase anything, and you're kind of screwed. I can't get my money out of the ATMs because the ATMs are connected to that, so they're not going to give me money. That kind of thing, and you'd be at the mercy of those who are satellite only. Now, that's just one scenario. But I think one of the biggest things I wanted to get with this video, and the whole point of making this video, is I wanted to at least stand on the side of cash for anonymity purposes. So I'm a huge fan of using cash because I like to know that I'm not being tracked when I'm purchasing something. Now, let's take a step back for a second and explain what I'm talking about. Now, you go to certain companies like Walmart, your bigger box stores, Target or something, then the unfortunate side is if you have your wallet with you, who has credit cards with that little RFID chip, a lot of times they're going to have scanners as you walk in there. So it's going to scan your chip to let you know, hey, boom, this person's in my store. I highly suggest you getting an RFID blocker wallet for that purpose, but that's just one of those things that some of these businesses do have those scanners to where they can track who's coming in and out of their store. Now, it's not just that for the company. You also got to worry about Google, because Google Maps has been tracking people's patterns, movement patterns, using Google Maps, which is just like preloaded on everybody's phone. But they've been tracking everybody's movements since 2014. Now, I read an article as of 2017 where they're using your credit card purchases and bouncing that off of Google Maps to build a profile on how to better advertise to you. So that's why if you're ever, typing something in Google and you see like an advertisement for somewhere that you just went, like that's why. Or a place that you've been frequenting quite often, like say you're huge into, I want to get some furniture, I want to buy some furniture, so you've gone to 3 furniture stores and you bought a little piece, whatever, with your credit card, then you're going to notice when you go on Google or on Facebook, you're going to see a whole bunch of ads for furniture. It's just like, how the hell did you guys know this? Well, that's why. They use Google Maps, they use your credit card purchases, all that kind of thing. So, when it comes down to purchasing things, I say this because as a prepper, there's certain things that you may or may not want to buy that you might not want people to know about. Say you want to, say you do go and get a huge stash of like freeze-dried food, or water, like big water storage, or guns and ammunition. That's the one thing I wanted to really hit on, was guns and ammunition. When you got big banks like Bank of America, who have basically told people, without even trying to hide it, that they're going to deny purchases with a credit card at a gun store because they don't agree with the gun laws and gun, whatever, that they're going to not allow their credit cards to be used to purchase guns. Like, that's pretty freaking ridiculous. And that's one thing I don't agree with at all. So if you're at the mercy of credit cards and debit cards only, it's all too easy for the bank to say, no, I don't want this. It's basically picking the losers of companies, to where they don't want a purchase to be allowed at this particular store, and they can get that store basically shut down. So if we go to a cashless society, which is what everybody's trying to push us to that point, you're going to see a lot of businesses go under, because the banks are now going to have the opportunity to pick and choose where they want you to spend your money, because they're not going to allow your card to work. Another thing I wanted to hit on was the anonymity factor. So I go to a store, say I do go to Walmart, who has like 12 different sections or whatever, and I want to go to the outdoor section. Well, if I go to buy ammo there and I use my card, it just comes on my card statement as Walmart. No big deal. But if I use cash, then I'm not being tracked except for only through Walmart. But the thing is, I'm a proponent for cash, because what if I am buying ammo or something from a friend of mine? Or I'm driving through town, I'm in an older area, so someone's having a yard sale or a moving sale or something of the sort. The thing I like about cash is, not only is it anonymous, but I don't have to pay taxes on that. Does that make sense? I think the whole big push of going cashless is there's going to be another way for the government to make sure everybody's paying sales tax, income tax, that kind of thing. So if if I'm running a yard sale or a garage sale, okay, and I'm selling some things in my own that I've already purchased, but I'm selling them secondhand, selling whatever, but there's a cashless society, and I have to use an app on my iPad, and the only way I can swipe cards. Well, guess what? Now the bank knows you've made income. If you've made a certain amount of income, they'll report it. So you have to talk about, you have to actually declare that as income. Also, the people that are purchasing are now going to have to pay sales tax, because now I'm going to get taxed on the things that I sell. Now, I know that right now, yard sales, it's only like a little permit, depending on your locality, determines how much taxes, if you can declare it as income, that kind of thing. It all depends on where you're located, but what's to say that those don't change the minute we become a cashless society, that now everything requires you to pay taxes or declare it as income. And that's the thing that I really wanted to try to hit with this video, was we should be fighting against a cashless society for that purpose, because it's another way for someone to keep tabs on us, to make us have to pay more taxes and income taxes, or pay taxes and sales tax. So let's face it, everything that we're doing now is to generate some more revenue for the federal government and state governments to spend your money on stupid crap. And the last thing I want to do is to try to encourage them to give them more opportunities to do that. So if we can stay cash-based to where you're using cash, that kind of takes back. Now, if you obviously have to pay sales tax or whatnot if you go to a store, but if I'm buying from my friend, Joe Bob over here, hey, I want to buy this off you because you don't want it or you don't use it anymore, so let me buy it. I can just give you cash. I don't have to declare that. He doesn't have to declare it, that kind of thing. So that's what I really wanted to hit on with this video. Now, am I suggesting that you carry only cash and never use a card? Absolutely not. There's times where having a card really pays off. Say you only have so much cash in your pocket, but you need to make a purchase. It's nice to be able to do that, but that's a voluntary thing. Like, it's not an out of necessity. So I'm all about a voluntary use of card, but I don't want to be required to only use that. So just keep that one in mind. Not to mention the interest payments for the credit card. And I mean, let's face it, there are plenty of pluses. Cashback cards, points, airline miles, that kind of thing. I mean, I totally understand the proponents for carrying credit cards. I'm just trying to explain my side of it as to why we should at least still encourage the use of cash and not go a cashless society, because let's face it, the anonymity factor, the taxation factor, it benefits those who use cash. And I'll just leave it at that. But that's just my thoughts on it. If you have any other input that you wanted to toss down below, by all means, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to bounce back some ideas off you. And if you like the video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have a subscriber. I'd really want to take this video farther at some point and explain exactly what the credit card companies are doing farther than I did in this video. So just keep tuned, stay tuned for that one. I'm probably going to do that sometime later this month, but we'll see. But with that being said, I will catch y'all later. Okay, bye.